goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Connington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Wilscroft.
Fuck the new Ghostbusters. Oh, I'm sorry, wait.
Oh, you
Okay, no, all right. Well,
you got excited. You were a little
Got
premature.
a little premature there, buddy.
Okay, no, sorry. But fuck the new Ghostbusters.
Okay.
All right.
All
Okay.
right.
We're not even 5 minutes in, and it's
So
just
angry.
going
So
there.
angry. I like it. All right.
So we're on episode, what are we on now? 18?
I think so. But guess what we're
I think
talking
we're on
about
18.
today? No one gave it away or anything.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about...
What is this episode about? I was just venting. No.
This episode's going to be about everyone's favorite movie, Ghostbusters 2016. I have to say 2016 because we're not talking necessarily about Ghostbusters, the original.
True.
But yeah, it's going to be a fun ride.
Guys,
I think.
I'm so pumped. Like, after I saw the movie, I really wanted to talk to you guys about it. I was, like, really excited.
Yeah,
we had to
I'm
wait
excited.
We
I'm
had to wait a
defeated.
couple days.
I'm
Yeah,
defeated.
Brian, you don't sound excited.
I'm
You sound
defeated.
tired.
I'm tired because
Weary.
I'm preempting how much backlash we may get.
Oh, I'm not
And
going to
how
get
much...
backlash.
No, you won't get any backlash.
No, I'm just kidding. All right.
John
well,
and I will.
Well,
but,
let's get down to it. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's start with the news bit.
Some news bit.
Okay.
What do we got?
So
Sweet badass.
we're talking about the controversy surrounding the reception of The Killing Joke, which was in theaters last week. And John had the opportunity to see. Now, I'm familiar with the contents of the graphic novel. I have to lay my lack of nerd cred out. I've not yet read it. I do want to, but I haven't read it yet. But I know what happens throughout.
Same here. I actually haven't read it.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
horrible to say.
That's
but
okay.
I'm in the same boat.
You're in
I
the same
do
boat.
know
That's right.
generally the plot.
But you
and kind
know
of
the
what
comic,
happens.
John, inside and out.
I have read it, at least 5 times. And I don't mean to sound like a complete hipster here, but it is a bit overrated. The Long Halloween, Batman Year One, The Dark Knight Returns, there is a lot better graphic novels of Batman out there. However, it is probably the most controversial.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most
graphic novel.
controversial
So that,
anyway.
That was, I think, what the big thing was. Like, oh, I can't believe they're making this into a film of any kind, especially an animated one. Because even though animation has come a long way, we still have that feel that like animation is for kids.
Yeah,
You know, and even though
definitely.
they rated it R.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that was a whole big thing when they were producing this thing. Was
And
like,
from what you had said, I heard totally unnecessary, right?
Well, I think it's because of the subject matter. And if you haven't read it or seen the film, spoiler alert.
Get out now, get out now.
Yeah, Joker shoots Batgirl.
Barbara Gordon.
In the stomach.
Barbara Gordon. In the stomach, goes to her spine. She ends up getting paralyzed. Then he removes her clothes and photographs her naked just to prove that he can drive Jim Gordon crazy. That anybody can have a bad day and go crazy because of it and be like him. So he captures Commissioner Gordon, strips him naked, has him go through an abandoned amusement park looking at photos of his naked daughter and, being essentially just abused over and over again. So that in and of itself, I think, is what garnered the R rating because
It's fucked up.
And they included that in the film, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was all there.
a lot of the film was basically directly lifted from the graphic novel. The framing,
Yeah.
all the dialogue. But the controversy comes in when to pad the running time, because this story it's only like 40 pages.
Yeah, The Killing Joke is actually rather short, and
It's
they
very
wanted to
short.
expand. And then I guess the decision was made to expand the Batgirl storyline.
Right.
But they did it rather sloppily. A lot of problems are existing with it in regard to how Batgirl was treated. It seemed like she was just created as a love interest for Batman, and she kind of throws herself at him, and then he doesn't give a fuck about her, and she's pining after him, and it's not progressive in
Right.
any way. Now this is what I've picked up online. You know,
It's true. She wants that sweet bat dick. That's kind of the whole first half of the film is she wants him to reach in that utility belt and get herself some Batarang.
I'm obsessed with you.
I was gonna say
Get that sweet batter.
I think that might have to be a T-shirt somewhere.
Oh my god!
I want to get some of that sweet Batarang.
and an arrow just pointing to your junk.
Yeah.
I'm with
So-
Batarang.
Let's recap the first half of this film before we actually get into the Killing Joke. She is an incompetent crime fighter.
She's a librarian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's too brash. She is too emotional. And Batman treats her like shit. And then he talks her into quitting being a superhero because she's just too emotional. And the
Girls with their feelings are stupid.
and everybody
Yeah.
treats her like a sex object. Then she bangs Batman. And then she gets crippled. And then at the very end of the movie, she turns into Batman's secretary. Progression.
Oh my god!
Really?
And isn't there a scene
Oracle,
where she's
yeah,
waiting?
Oracle's Batman's secretary.
Yeah.
Oracle, I need you to look up this file. I need to call Commissioner Gordon.
I'm right on it, Batman.
And isn't there a scene where she's waiting for him to call her and he doesn't?
Oh, well, no. The thing is, Batman was probably grateful in this new storyline because he's like, oh, man, she is really needy and clingy. And then the Joker shoots her and she can't feel anything below the waist. He went, whoa, dodge that bullet. Thanks, Joker.
Whoa, John.
Why do you think he's laughing with him at the end of the story?
Rough. That was rough. Well, there's a lot of controversy in the reception, but honestly, too, I don't know if you guys had heard the story about the Comic-Con panel in San Diego. There was controversy there too because it hadn't been released yet, but they'd shown like a little bit of the trailer and showed her that like she's definitely treated as a sex object. Someone at the panel called out the creators or producers or whoever was there. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with all the players, but they were like, oh yeah, we were really happy that we were able to expand the character. And someone in the audience said, oh, what, by making her a sex object and making her pine for Batman? And the producer, whoever it was, said, I'm sorry, did you want to ask that question again, pussy? Like, they were really defensive about it. And then, of course, using, like, pussy as a slur. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, that's something inference, too. Like,
Yeah, there's a little subconscious thing happening there.
I mean,
Ugly.
Here's the thing. In my opinion, see, I didn't know it went that particular far. The big controversy I heard was just
the
that,
reception,
just
yeah.
that Batgirl has sex with Batman.
the producers also
That was the
did
big-
not take criticism well.
Right. That was the whole thing I heard was that, oh my God, why is Batgirl having sex with Batman?
Right.
And I don't necessarily think that part is quote unquote wrong. And someone has their fucking cell phone.
So sorry. Nerd cred, though.
No, it's cool.
It's a Tomb
It's
Raider
cool.
ringtone.
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
Sorry, guys.
But no, I don't necessarily disagree with that part. I think that part adds another layer.
Oh, yeah,
to
no.
it.
There's a lot going on, man.
I definitely think that, and also because there have been other references to a relationship with Batgirl and Batman
In some
other
incarnations,
things.
but normally she's paired with Robin, yes?
Well, it kind of goes all over the place.
Or third Robin. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of goes all over the place because she's sometimes paired with Dick Grayson every once in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, not that often because Dick Grayson did come along way before.
And he kind of
Barbara Gordon.
got involved with Star Sapphire from Teen Titans. That was the whole big thing.
Just when I think I've got my cred, you got it right up here.
You guys are deep in the nerd forest. I'm very
the
happy
whole
for you
point
both.
is that in like I know that there was an episode in Batman Beyond in which
Mm-hmm.
Barbara Gordon now is the district attorney.
Okay.
No, she's not district attorney.
Or is she the commissioner?
She's commissioner.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And
she kind of recounts.
the
relationship.
The
yeah.
relationship, and it's stated. Oh, there was a relationship that did happen.
Yeah, and I think that's the
Batman-
solid record of it. You know what I mean? That's the strongest
and I
storyline
think
with
that's
it.
kind of because honestly, this one was made by the same people
Yeah.
who did Batman Beyond, Bruce Timm and all those guys. Right. So I think they might have pulled from that part and said, "Oh, we've already set the marker saying, hey, there was a relationship that happened in Batman Beyond that's set 50 years later.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the moment where that kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
I hit the mic there, but I definitely disagree with making her a complete sex object and changing her from honestly
It's just so
full-blown
destructive, and I'm
superhero.
just so over it. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and can I just say, Batman, bro, you don't bang your best friend's daughter. You don't. That's bro code. You don't do that.
That's
that
bro
is
code.
that is poon that is off the table.
Yeah.
Not okay.
He has anti-shark repellent. He should have anti-poon
Plus,
repellent.
I mean,
for
here's the other
Batgirls.
thing too. Bruce Wayne pretty much is involved with everyone.
Yeah,
in the DC universe for the most part.
And I think it's weird
odd to me.
Wonder Woman, Vicky Vale, who else?
Catwoman,
Poison Ivy. I mean, you name them all. He's involved with them.
I mean,
do you really need to add Batgirl on top of that and make it, honestly, not anything natural? Like, that's my other big problem, too.
Yeah.
Is that this isn't a natural progression of a relationship. A natural progression of a relationship, yeah, you could say, okay, these two work together. And, you know, tensions get hot, and that leads to it. Okay, you can say that. Sometimes that happens in real life. This isn't that at all. This is just, you're degrading the character of Batgirl to the point where all she is, she's not good at her job. She must go ahead and quit that and be, you know, and she ends up getting used sexually by Batman. And then, you know, top it all off, she gets shot and paralyzed by the Joker.
And it almost becomes like this thing. It almost like changes what the Killing Joke was in this new context. And I mean, I think that's why fans are super upset, you know, because it just wasn't faithful when they tried to expand this storyline. It just didn't work. And, you know, and I'm all for like whoever banging whoever. Like I'm not going to put the kibosh on, on that, you know,
it seemed odd that, and this might just be me, but I almost see Batman and Bruce Wayne, while they're the same person, as two completely different entities. And I see Batman as asexual. He's out to fight crime and at any cost, you know, possibly into the realms of fascism, but, you know, at any cost to fight crime. And then Bruce Wayne is he's an actual human being. When he puts on the mask.
Well, Bruce Wayne is the caricature.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Batman is the real personality.
It's true. And
Bruce Wayne is the caricature.
The mask he actually wears.
Yeah. But not to pull from Nolan, but that's exactly the point.
I do agree with that. But
the
like,
idea
you know.
I'm just to finish.
Sorry,
my point.
go ahead.
But the idea is, you know, if he wanted to invite Babs over to Wayne Mansion and you know, Bruce takes her to Pound Town on the couch while Alfred looks at the top of the stairs, you know, that's one thing.
How dare you? Alfred would not watch. How dare you?
Alfred watches. Alfred
How
watches.
dare you?
No, Alfred fucking watches.
He needs something like.
Who does he have?
He has like access to every satellite feed in the entire universe. Like he has all the trappings of the Batcave.
He's got real feed going on.
Yeah, he wants
down
to see
in the
his
attic.
Batcave.
Or the Batcave or whatever.
He would just be in the Batcave.
He would not be. He would be behind that grandfather clock, just going.
You guys
oh yeah.
You guys are so full of it. He would not watch him.
Yes, he would.
He would watch. He would.
The man, there's no Mrs. Alfred.
He wants to see Bruce
Not
shoot
anymore.
that guano. He wants to see Bruce shoot that guano.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But no, if Bruce Wayne had sex, that'd be one thing. But for them to have sex in character, and the thing is, she doesn't know who Batman is, so she takes off her mask. Batman's like, yeah, I'm keeping mine on.
She still doesn't know who Batman is?
No.
Speaking of masks, did they wear protection, or are there gonna like be bat babies running around? You know, I mean, I guess she got shot later, so.
Well, they were, you know, in complete protection armor and stuff.
Oh.
I see what you did there.
Oh,
I'm sure he has a couple of
bat condom.
I'm sure he has a couple condoms in his utility belt. You know,
and a bat plan B.
If anybody would have Plan B, it would be Batman. So yeah, I mean, just the reception was kind of, you know, ill received.
It didn't receive much money either, from what I understand.
I think it was a mistake to even put it to the screen. Really, you know.
I mean, no, I understand why they put it to screen, and I don't disagree with that. It is a
they just didn't do it well.
They just didn't do it well. The execution was completely off. Mm-hmm. The whole purpose of Killing Joke is, you know, to kind of show Batgirl as, you know, the strong hero in her fall, but at the same time still maintaining the fact that she's strong in a different capacity.
And they failed horribly.
You know, and they failed. Like, that's the thing, is that she was more. That's the thing, is I think most people can say that Batgirl was more than just, you know, physical ability, you know, that sort of thing. She was intelligent, and
not in this version,
apparently.
Well,
and that's a sad thing.
That was the great mistake of stretching the story out via Batgirl. They should have done it with the Joker or Gordon or somebody else, because at the end of the day, she is nothing more than a victim in the story who has no way to avenge herself or do anything. So that's where the sexism comes in even further. That, I got shot and put up no fight. Now Batman, a man, go save the day. Go avenge me.
Well, how different was it in the beginning of the part before she was even paralyzed? It sounds like
And that's what I'm
she
saying,
wasn't
is
even
that
good
there
at
was
what she
no-
was able to do
Well,
before
in the
she
story,
was,
in the actual graphic
Right.
novel, it just starts with, not right away, but the Joker's escaped, and he goes to Gordon's house, and she just, like, hanging out. He's scrapbooking, and she's just like, oh, hey, somebody's at the door. Maybe that's the pizza guy. And then, yeah, it's not the pizza guy.
Right.
No, but it's still a matter of, you're whether it's been omitted from the graphic novel, you still get the idea that Batgirl is a competent superhero and part of the team, and
And
that
they
sort
just
of thing.
tore
And
that
they just
apart.
tore that apart.
In the original story, Batgirl is inconsequential to the story. What happens to her is what is consequential.
Right.
And in this one, they decided to flesh that out, and
I think they could have just, fleshed it out more with, the main idea of, does one bad day make a person go insane?
Yeah.
Because that's the main idea behind the Killing Joke. It's one really bad day could make a person go insane.
And I think what we could have done is maybe dug more into Gordon for the
Yeah,
story to
absolutely.
have more background there, instead of making it about something else. And I just hate, like, when producers or, like, studio heads or something say, oh, well, we're going to dig into this character and flesh her out more and make this female character, like, more, dimensional and interesting. And it's like, no, you just put her in the fucking spandex outfit for longer, you a-holes. Like,
By the way, I don't want to sound like a complete pervert, but her size of her breast did vary in the movie, and it was odd.
so they got bigger and smaller?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and there were times where they were very large for her frame.
Well, tell me more. Like, could the suit have maybe, like, tamped down the bat balloons?
They were
Bat balloons.
The bat balloons?
No, they were even just in the same scene. Sometimes, if there was a wider shot or closer shot, her breast size would change.
That's actually instinctual, though. When men draw a female character, they give her really comically large boobs and butts.
Yeah.
It's like a thing.
It's a caveman thing.
Oh, caveman thing.
But
I didn't say it.
Just to say about the end of the story too, and at the very end of the graphic novel, which they were very faithful to in the film, Gordon doesn't go insane. Batman proves the Joker wrong. Joker gets all pissed off, and leading up to this, Batman says, I feel that this is just inevitably going to lead to you killing me or me killing you. We've done this 1,000 times. How many people got hurt? How many more are going to get hurt? And, somehow, some way, this is going to have to end. And at the very end of the story, Joker has been defeated, and he decides to tell Batman a joke. And in an odd break of character, Batman laughs at the joke. He puts his arm onto the shoulders of the Joker, and they're both laughing, and you see laugh bubbles of the Joker's laugh and Batman's laugh, and it pans down to a puddle at the bottom, and you only hear at that point Batman laughing. And it's always been implied, because it's never Alan Moore has never confirmed it, but you could take from that Batman killed the Joker. He strangled him to death.
Huh.
And he finally,
wow.
That was the snapping point, and then Batman laughed his ass off while doing it.
Wow.
So he went insane. He's the one who went insane.
And he's the
Yeah.
one that snapped. That's interesting.
See that?
Well, and
that would be much more interesting to go ahead and see.
Is that how the movie ended?
Is that how the movie ended?
Well, here's why this doesn't work for a film, because you don't hear anything when you read except what you're making in your own head.
Right.
And so you can decide what kind of noises are being made. And when you have an audio track to it, the Joker just stops laughing. Because it's open-ended, how do you justify him being choked out, not being choked out? You don't really know how it ends, so you can't audibly tell that story. And so you can't end this story. And it did. It was very confusing because Kevin Conroy and his giant voice just laughing his ass off, and the Joker just stopped laughing, and it seemed confusing. And if people had gone to the movie without reading the story and it just rolls to the credits, then people would have been, what the hell?
Yeah.
And some people in the theater were just surprised as hell that it ended. Because that's something that doesn't translate to something on an auditory level. You have to read it and infer. And that was a problem with the ending. Wow. But anyways, speaking of jokes about films that made me want to kill myself, shall we talk about Ghostbusters?
Oh man, you guys are so mad. Like, are you guys gonna come at me angry? Like,
We're not going to come at you.
Don't podcast angry.
John might come at you angry. I'm going to come at you defeated.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's just get this out of the way right away. We all hated the movie.
Well, I think the one thing we should give a disclaimer.
Okay.
Okay.
What, like spoiler alert? Like
No.
get the
Well,
fuck out
one,
now?
yeah. This is
Definitely
a spoiler.
get out now.
Get out now. If you haven't seen the movie,
They
And you
bust
want
ghosts.
to.
Spoiler.
Get out.
if you haven't seen the movie, either go see the movie or just
Or
you
watch
can
the
you can
original.
skip forward about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes from now, and just catch the end part. Where we talk about where to go ahead and look us up and that sort of thing. Also, I want to say there is a possibility that you may disagree with us, or you may consider some of us sexist or hateful or
Hateful, definitely.
hateful, okay, or anything like that. I want to be honest about something. This is a very honest review. I think there's a lot of controversy regarding this movie, and I think that people are hesitant to be honest about this movie for fear of being viewed as either a bigot or a misogynist or whatever. So right now, we just got done talking. I think it's very important we talked about the Killing Joke.
I
As
think
our
it's
news
a great
segment.
segue.
Because one, we're completely outraged by the how terrible Barbara Gordon's character was portrayed
Right.
in
So,
this movie.
Clearly, you guys are on team.
Clearly,
Vag.
we're on Team Vag.
Well, I hate the film because women can't bust ghosts. Like, that's stupid. They should be in the kitchen while the men are busting ghosts, waiting to be made. Yeah, babies put in them.
I hate you so
Women-
much.
women are
sometimes.
I mean, I was
Stupid.
trying to give a disclaimer that we're not like that.
Women
but
are
thank you
science.
so much,
Of
John.
the three of us, John is the Joker, and
Okay.
he will burn this
Okay.
shit down.
Oh, lady
Okay.
scientist,
And I'm-
that's so silly.
And I'm just saying that
That's like
because
a dog walking on its
you
hind legs.
You shut the fuck up, my lord.
I'm trying to give our disclaimer so we don't have pitchforks and fire outside
well,
or
he
the
just
house.
burnt it to the ground. I'm
Well,
really sorry.
Either way, I'm just trying to say, this is our opinion. You can either appreciate the opinion, but the point is that we're being honest. We're not trying to go ahead and just appeal to you guys
Yeah.
either on either side or the other. I
And
mean,
if you guys want to have like intellectual discourse,
Yes.
like feel free to shoot us an email and
We-
be like, "But what about this?"
Yes.
No, don't just come at us, trolls. Like,
do
I don't
not
give a
just come
fuck.
at
Like,
us and
don't
say,
come at us. We will
"Well, you
delete it."
guys hate women. Or you guys just,
Well, let's talk about it.
you guys hate men. No,
It's really
we're
sad
not
the
trying to
most
say
derisive
that.
film of the year has been Ghostbusters.
Well, my thing too is this: if as much energy was devoted to something other than Ghostbusters 2016, imagine what you could accomplish.
Oh, totally.
Okay? How much energy, how much time spent talking, and we're doing it right now, talking and talking and talking and talking and talking
Right.
about sexism. What if that was devoted to real sexism?
Or like doing something about
Like
it.
doing something about it. Like the fact that women get paid less than men, or,
Yeah.
or given less opportunities than men. Things like that. What if that was the cornerstone instead of fucking Ghostbusters? Okay, so I'm saying that ahead of everything because I know that people are going to go ahead and disagree, and they're going to call me a misogynist or call, Elaine a man-hater or John, bigot or
I
whatever,
call you a traitor.
a traitor or whatever.
Man hater.
I don't know.
G.
We're just saying this is an honest review. Okay, that's
just
all I
being
wanted to get
honest.
across.
Being honest.
Okay,
All
so
right.
John, please, now that with that disclaimer gone, please go ahead and give me your thoughts.
Well, this is going to surprise you guys, but I really love... No, I'm just fucking kidding. Here's my biggest problem with this movie. To be perfectly honest, it was a meh. It wasn't...
I'd agree with that.
It wasn't god-awful. It was just a very forgettable, stupid movie. But my problem is that the studio, they sat around and they said, hey, here's a franchise that we can still milk about $600 million worldwide in box office and sell a bunch of toys and Twinkies and Papa John's and Pringles and make a shit
Ecto-Cooler.
ton of money at, basically shitting on anybody that liked the original film and all that. That was what the problem I had with it. This was a way to make a cheap buck.
That's
and
the
make it
problem
quick.
at conception. I mean, you have to go into the movie understanding that is the deal that with the devil that was made. It was only made to make money. So taking that into account and moving forward, we have to look at the film for what it is. There was tons of product placement that blows. Those decisions were made at a different level. What we need to look at instead is, did what they make even end up being worthwhile?
I would say no.
I would say no as well.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either.
I
thought it was okay.
For me, I went in not judging it based on...
I went in scared I was going to hate it.
I mean, I went in not judging it because I think the worst thing you can do is go into a movie and say, well, it didn't do that like in the original.
Right.
So I went in looking at this thing as, okay,
Well, it is fair.
is this a good... Does it tell a story?
Mm-hmm.
Are the characters good? In that sort of premise, are the effects good? Is the editing good? Is the pace good? That I looked at it as I would look at any movie. I did not go in and thinking, oh, is this going to be basically, am I looking at it in terms of Ghostbusters?
But that is fair though. This film puts it out there. Its connection to
and
the
that's
original film.
the problem.
You
That's
have
one of
to
the problems
to some degree.
is they jam it down your throat. And then, in fact, I tried to keep my watch to it. Every 20 minutes, you saw a cameo.
I hated the cameos, except
it was so ham-handed.
It was. They
and
were
just,
really
like,
bad.
jamming it in there.
Are you going to say Harold Ramis?
Yeah, I didn't hate Harold Ramis's, and I didn't hate...
His bust showed up in the background.
When she was still at the school, it was him.
I was about to say, why didn't he show up? That was rude of him. He could have been a ghost.
And I was like... because, when I saw it, I was like, oh... Like that, I don't know. That made me feel something. I liked that one.
It made me feel I should be watching Harold Ramis' Ghostbusters 3 instead.
I know, right?
That's what I felt.
I liked, what was their secretary's name? Janine? That actress.
Janine.
I liked that. That was the only other cameo I liked. I thought Bill Murray's was way too long. I thought Dan Aykroyd's was, like you
completely
said,
unnecessary.
Dan Aykroyd's was totally ham-handed and unnecessary. And I thought that
Ernie Hudson,
yeah,
too.
Ernie Hudson at the
and
end.
Sigourney Weaver as well.
And Sigourney Weaver's was the worst of all. I thought it was just like
I thought Sigourney Weaver was going to look at the camera and wink.
Right, it was fucking ridiculous.
Basically to that level.
It was ridiculous.
It's me, Dana Barrett.
It was so heavy-handed.
Yeah, for me, it just felt like, and this is just my opinion, I felt that they were trying to give a middle finger to the fans of the original, while at the same time trying to appeal to the fans of the original.
You mean like when they fight the logo?
Well, that's kind of my thing here. Okay,
That was weird.
That's
I didn't
my
like
thing
that part
here.
either.
I felt that the story itself was built around the controversy regarding the movie. Okay?
A little bit. I mean, they did have some good one-liners
think
about internet trolls.
Yeah,
Well, I think the studio basically manufactured that.
I definitely believe the studio manufactured the
Because
controversy.
this is what's ridiculous about the movie. Any video that you go on to YouTube, there are going to be trolls that say awful things.
Yeah.
But what the studio chose to do is to take the 5% of comments that were from misogynistic assholes and just turn that into a big controversy and then let that turn into a tornado on the internet, and people will go see the movie because of all the controversy built up to it, because they knew the movie didn't have enough legs to stand on its own.
Right.
And then even with that, look at who the villain was in this movie.
That was the failure of the film.
Who was the villain? The villain in this movie was a pasty-faced, overweight ghost nerd.
Yes.
What does that look? Was that and who hated women? Okay,
He hated everybody, to be fair.
no, but he's calling them girls and saying you shoot like a girl. That was designed to take advantage of the controversy. Okay. And it also was designed to take advantage of internet trolls that the studio portrayed as being those are the fans of the original. And then you have at the end, they fight the fucking logo of the original.
Yeah.
That was weird.
I
thought that was
it's
really
like,
weird.
let me get this straight. You're trying to appeal to me because of my nostalgia, but then at the same time, the villain is my nostalgia.
It's true.
Like,
it's a
and
good
you
point.
shoot that in the dick.
It was a big middle finger.
That's my problem with it. The other issue I have with it too, and I was told I shouldn't mention this, but because I'm being honest.
Make it rain, brother.
Okay.
We
my
love it.
girlfriend,
We're
my girlfriend in
excited.
particular told me never to say this because it comes off as cringeworthy.
My nipples are hard in
Okay.
anticipation.
And I'm going to try to say this as delicately as I can.
I have a boner. Go on.
I felt that every man in this movie was portrayed in a negative or either idiotic light.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's really not that controversial, I don't feel.
Well,
I think it is because it comes off as I'm saying, well, you're saying that women can't. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying in most films
there was no equality.
There was no equality. Okay,
Well-
I watched the original, and I will admit the original movie does have sexism in it. It's
Right.
also 1984.
Right, but is it fair to say, like, for me as a woman,
Yeah.
it was fucking awesome to see that all of the men were ancillary and all that mattered was the women, because that was something that I noticed right away. Because especially with the Chris Hemsworth character, they objectified the fuck out of him.
Right.
It was so distracting, actually, about how stupid he was. That was actually distracting, that he was so stupid.
But here's the problem. For a movie that claims to be, the lightning bolt of sexism, okay,
I feel like
to add sexism directed at men, does the two negatives create a positive?
It doesn't solve the problem, but I kind of wonder if it's a nice mirror to show people and be like, hey, this is what women have been in the movies for the last
and I don't disagree
20
with that.
years.
And I don't disagree with
because,
that at all.
I'm sorry, the biggest thing about Chris Hemsworth is that he was just treated as utter beefcake.
Right.
And I feel
And
like
an
that's
idiot.
fair. I'm sorry, if I have to see, fucking Megan Fox's boobs in my face, or if I have to watch Suicide Squad and watch Margot Robbie's thighs for 2 hours, give me Chris Hemsworth in a pair of really well-tailored jeans. That is okay with me. That's only fair.
And I don't disagree with you on that. I personally hate the movie.
Hammer, don't you?
I personally hate the movie Sucker Punch because of that reason.
Oh, that shit is
that movie,
sexist.
yeah.
The movie is fucking
I
sexist.
fucking hate that movie because of it. And I did not agree with Marvel making Scarlett Johansson basically a sex object and then not including her in the Avengers. So I agree with you that. But my problem is that this movie is trying to say, well, women can be Ghostbusters, and it's not a sexist, and sexism exists and that sort of thing. A manufactured sexism by all accounts. Okay, this was studio manufactured. Okay.
Sell that Papa John's.
But at the same time, shouldn't you make a movie that maybe calls it out, but then doesn't make the entire movie have that whole theme? That just feels like it was an agenda to me.
The film should have done what it was doing. The most successful stories of oppressed or ancillary kinds of people, minorities, it's best done, I think, when it's not a big deal. I look at other, mostly television references. I feel like stories are most successful when it's not that big of a deal. So, say, in Buffy, when Willow comes out as gay.
Okay.
It's certainly an arc. I mean, it's something that she has to tell her friends, but it's not a big deal. Something like Pretty Little Liars, one of the characters, Emily, comes out as gay. It's really not the most interesting thing about her life because someone was trying to murder her all the time. You know what I mean? When it's not a big deal, I think it's more successful. I think it would have been maybe better if it had been these 4 women and every male, in the vicinity wouldn't have been an idiot. But I'm telling you guys right now, that is the mirror that everybody needed to look in because you guys noticed it. Oh my God, every guy's an idiot. Yeah, welcome to looking at superhero movies for me for the past 20 fucking years. Welcome to the party, you guys. That's what it is.
Okay.
You look at a movie and you're like, every fucking woman is useless. It's like all those tests that they have now for women in movies. It's like the sexy lamp test.
Yeah.
That test, if, the woman character, if she could just be a sexy lamp. That's the test, and it looks like that movie failed.
Every Roland Emmerich movie.
That's
every Roland
and
Emmerich
that's
movie,
everything that
absolutely.
I've been exposed to my whole life. I know we were talking about it a little bit on Facebook. We didn't talk about it, but we had some friends that were commenting, and we had a mutual friend who posted an article about her experience with the film. I had a very, very similar experience. I don't know if you had a chance to read the article.
I read it mainly dealing with the Holtzman character.
And she's our age. She's exactly our age.
And
she's
I definitely
30 now.
Agree with that article.
But the biggest part that I identify with in that movie is she opens in her article, and we can link her article into the show notes
definitely.
because I think it's worth giving a shout to.
is.
But she says, when she was a kid, she had to sit and she had to play April O'Neil. I fucking had to play April O'Neil. Now, in her case, she didn't really know who the Turtles were, and she just wanted to play in the neighborhood, and that was the only way they would let her play. But I fucking knew who the Turtles were. I wanted to be Donatello every fucking time, but I couldn't because I was busy being April, and the neighbor kids handcuffed me to a tree to play April because I had to be saved. And they lost the fucking keys, and my friend's grandpa had to cut me down from the crabapple tree because I was stuck in it,
Holy
handcuffed to the tree. That is what female oppression looks like, bitches. I will take this movie, and I think it is something that every fanboy should see. Every guy was either a dick or useless. Welcome to the party. That's how it is. Every woman is usually useless.
But would you think that got in the way of telling the story?
I mean, I thought it was distracting how stupid Chris Hemsworth was. that I had a hard time.
My issue
it took me out of the movie.
That's my problem
Yeah.
with the movie, is that everybody comes from some level of improv. Everybody in the movie, now, I don't really know Chris Hemsworth is. He didn't do anything funny in the film, and he's not known for comedy. But everybody
He wasn't bad on SNL though. When he was on SNL, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
But everybody in the movie is very, very funny. You know, they're hilarious. Kate McKinnon, Melissa McCarthy, like, these are very funny people.
Just giving bad material.
The problem is that they had a very thin script, and basically Paul Feig was improvise. But the problem is that it just came off so disingenuous and so unnatural and so unreal that. The one thing that works so well about the original Ghostbusters is that even though that it was a goofy premise and they were quirky people, you really felt that they were actual people. Even when the idea of Egon boring a drill into his head, didn't seem so odd. It just seemed to fit who Egon was. Now in this movie, it just seemed like a bunch of comedians riffing jokes.
Really? I mean,
it felt that way.
I didn't really think so because now, we see Melissa McCarthy in a very pared-down role. She's usually really ridiculous.
I thought both her and Kristen Wiig were pared down.
They were
the same character.
A little bit, and that I didn't like. Like I said, I think the film had some problems, but I enjoyed watching it. So I think the film had a lot of problems, and we'll get back to the villain later because I have a lot of problems with that. But I think seeing Melissa McCarthy pared down was good. I didn't think this was a good showing for Kristen Wiig.
No.
I did not think this was good
It
because
was extremely
where
weak.
she really succeeded in Bridesmaids, like she just was too small in this movie, and I thought it was a waste. Yeah, and I thought it was a waste.
She was very mousy in this film.
I thought it was a waste. However, I thought Kate McKinnon was absolutely fucking fantastic.
I hated Kate McKinnon.
She
in this
was
movie.
so weird. She was so quirky, and like, please, Kate McKinnon.
Distracting.
Please, no. I need to finish, you guys. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Kate McKinnon, please come over and please give me eye banging lessons because that's all you fucking did the whole movie, and it was on point. It was incredible. I want you to teach me how to eye bang like that. She was very sexual the whole time, I thought. Very sexy character. Mm-hmm. And I thought it worked. I thought it was the only compelling thing to look at, and now I have a weird fetish for ties and smoking jackets that I can't explain.
I would say that out of all of the characters that were Ghostbusters, I disliked her the least.
Well, there you go.
That's what I will say. I disliked her the least.
Interesting.
I disliked her the most. I felt that her character was way, way too much of.
I thought she was very cartoony.
Go for it. Yeah.
I thought she was extremely
was she
cartoony.
out
Did
there?
not seem like a real person.
Was she weird? Yeah, but I feel like she kind of committed to the role fully and really thought about how weird someone who comes up with that kind of shit like could be. I mean, when you're that kind of brilliant, there's the stereotype of being eccentric. I think she played into that, but she made it real. Like, she didn't just act weird when it was her turn to have a line. I mean, she breathed weirdness the whole time.
What scene that really drove me nuts was when she decided she was going to dance around the Chinese restaurant that they work out of, the top floor.
Oh, with the...
Yeah.
And she has the blowtorches, and she sets something on fire, and then it's on fire, and then she manages to put it out, and she's still doing it. The scene was completely unnecessary, and it just gave her an opportunity to be weird.
Yeah, but I think that's a
distracting.
failure of writing, not a failure of her performance.
No, and that's what the one thing I will say is that all of these actors are fantastic on their own merit.
I thought they were good together.
I like them all. But I think the direction and I think the writing were just fucking terrible.
The writing was a failure. I mean,
it really
I
was.
thought Kate McKinnon and Melissa McCarthy were good together, and where the fucking blowtorch thing where that failed, I thought something else like that was a nice touch, like, you know, when Kate McKinnon like took a photo of the subway wall. I thought that was a very real moment, like something that anybody would do. Or two, when they come up, if something is boring, I always look at like the boring moments in movies, and when they come up with the food, she and Leslie Jones's character, who we haven't talked about yet, but we will. Yeah. But when they come up with food for the day, and Melissa McCarthy's been possessed by the ghost, and she's trapped in the bathroom. And when Kate McKinnon comes up and she goes to call, you know, her like, hey, like food's ready. She knocks on the door and she's like, hey, you want your little sandwich? Like, she puts like a weird voice to it. I thought that was really real. Like, you get goofy with your friends. You say funny things. Or two, like when they got off on the tangent with the police officer about Patrick Swayze movies, like I could see the three of us doing that. You know what I mean?
But we're strange people. We do podcasts about movies.
But
Most people don't talk like that.
Right, but like these people are very specified in their profession, and it was established that Kate McKinnon was fucking brilliant and thereby kind of eccentric and kind of fucking
my
weird.
problem with that was that there was with okay, let's take us for example. We maybe do goofy shit, and we do fucking podcasts about movies and we rip them apart. But for the most part, there are times when we act quote unquote somewhat normal.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I have a 9 to 5.
There's
We all do.
lulls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, sometimes we dress up like clowns and scream at cactuses and say,
Yes.
"No, mommy," while we masturbate.
But
That's just you, sweetheart.
that's just
you guys don't do that?
No.
Oh,
not
me
really.
neither.
But my point is that a normal character. Okay, let's anything like that. There's beats and there's times when that eccentricity comes in.
Right.
And I felt
And
that
she
this
was a
movie
10 all the time.
It was
I get
was
that.
all the fucking time. Every single scene was another zany thing that Holtzman does, and I mean it was getting kind of just played out in my opinion. The minute that she put on the fucking wig and hat, I was just like, why?
I mean, that was dumb
Why?
too. I mean, like I said, I think that the writing failed all the characters at some point, but I think Kate McKinnon did the best with what she was given.
And that's why I say I dislike her the least.
Right.
Well, this felt like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, part of that was because so many people
Our
were from
alums.
SNL, and Melissa McCarthy has been on like a gazillion times.
Right. So she gets it. I mean,
but it felt like a Saturday Night Live skit.
well, too, a lot of the jokes that didn't really work were all in the trailer, and so we were already sick of them before we went to the. And I wish like trailers wouldn't do that anymore.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Elaine. I laughed one time.
I know. I saw you say that.
Was it at the pussy fart?
I laughed a couple times.
No, it wasn't at that. It was.
Wait, what?
When
the
the audio recording of the queef.
What?
You didn't catch that joke?
The fuck are you guys talking about?
They have her listen for the audio of the ghost.
Yeah.
It's a fart.
Oh.
She says, would you be surprised if it came from the front?
I told you it came from the front.
Oh, I thought
She
it was
recorded
like.
That's what that was.
Oh, guys. Okay, so like quick anatomy lesson. Like sometimes a fart can get pushed through the front, and I thought that's what it was because we're ladies.
No, it was a queef.
This
joke.
was
Okay,
a
I
queef
didn't realize
joke.
it was a queef joke. I just thought it was a pee fart joke, and I
And
just
here's
said
the
pee
thing:
fart.
I don't
on our podcast.
find fart jokes in to be funny either.
Okay.
I really don't.
I think fart jokes are funny.
But I mean,
fucking love fart jokes.
I guess my thing was out of a movie that was a comedy.
That was a fucking queef joke.
Yeah,
Damn it.
you should have caught.
See,
that.
I love fart jokes too. Not in a Ghostbusters movie.
But again, I'm a lady, so I have a different experience with
Yeah.
farts. Okay.
Yeah,
Don't troll me, internet haters, about my farts. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
but my problem when since we're talking about the jokes here, I didn't find any of them funny.
I laughed at visual gags. I think.
The only time I laughed, the one single solitary time, was when Michael McDonald screamed like a girl.
Oh, really? I didn't think that was funny at all.
I was like, it's kind of funny
I didn't
because
think- I didn't think
and
that
John
was
talked
funny.
about
He was
this.
a nightclub owner. If
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
know who Michael McDonald is.
He's and two, it was weird that this like metal festival was like
Would
run by
have
this
someone
very
like him.
stuffy dude. I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Do you know one of the times I laughed though?
Huh.
I laughed when Chris Hemsworth was holding up the headshots and was like, "Which one makes me look like a doctor?" Listening to saxophone, he has like up to his ears, funny. And then when he went to answer the phone in the aquarium, because he was so fucking stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was great.
didn't find that funny.
Yeah, well, welcome again. Like I
It
said,
had nothing to do with sexism. It had to
Let
do
me-
with the fact that it wasn't fucking
let
funny.
me get you
Well,
some
let's-
punch, guys.
Let's go back.
Welcome to the party.
Let's go back to the original film. I'm just
yeah.
going to compare things constantly to the original.
Oh, come on.
Janine was a great character.
Yeah.
She wasn't an idiot. She wasn't a doofus. She was
Right.
just kind of a
Well, just
a-
because
a
they handled
jaded,
one female character well.
Dana
I mean,
Barrett
you know.
was handled well too,
But my
up
point
until
is-
she was possessed. Up until she was possessed.
I don't know. Sometimes
What?
Dana's a
Well-
little useless, and she's a baby machine in the second one, which I don't.
Well, yeah, that part no. I don't.
Well, my point being is that this was an actual character, and she was still able to have funny lines, like when the police arrived, she says picking up or dropping off, which is a hilarious line.
Right,
in the
well,
original film.
like I
they
said-
didn't have to be like, zany, goofy ass shit that no one would do and would get you fired in an instant. I spit in your coffee. I don't know how to answer the phone. I drop things in the aquarium.
Right, like I said, how stupid he was distracting. I don't disagree.
And covering your eyes when you're trying to cover your ears.
That was fucking funny.
No, it wasn't.
This is what happens when you let beautiful people improvise.
He was so beautiful, though.
I'm funny too. No,
Whatever,
you're not.
he's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I get it.
Actual Thor, not
So pretty.
unlike his brother who's not Thor.
His brother's not that pretty. But no, I mean, it's just, we've established that the writing failed. So,
I just didn't find any of the jokes funny.
let's talk about someplace else that it failed. I think that the villain
Oh my god.
thing, the fact that we meet the villain right away and his like reason for creating the apocalypse, like, suck it up, Buttercup. Like,
Did he have a reason?
Yeah, because he was bullied.
He was bullied. But
Yeah.
then again, this all goes back to what the producers, the writers, and director think of the people who hated this movie.
But I just don't understand how
They
they
think
were able
they're,
to do
you
it that
know,
early when, like, I felt like the backlash
because I
came
think
later.
because the backlash was coming when they announced that they were making this thing.
I guess.
So what do they make? They make a villain who quite literally is the epitome of an internet troll who happens to be a fan of the original. And he quite literally is a fan of the original book that Kristen Wiig and them made. Like, how can you?
true.
How more of a blatant?
my problem
fuck
was
you
just like,
can you get?
I don't know. My problem was just he had no fucking motivation.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
okay,
there
like,
was no
oh,
motivation.
Oh, you were bullied. Oh, that's great. Sack up. I was bullied like every day of the 5th grade.
And
like,
that's
go
what I'm
fuck
saying
yourself.
is
like,
there
I
was
didn't
no.
suck the world
The only
into an
fleshing out of it
apocalyptic
was the only fleshing out was they wanted to make a character that basically was the
call him a
epitome.
character?
You can't a caricature. How about that? Caricature.
a device. That's all it was. I mean, because they needed
Yeah.
a reason
They
to
needed
be
a
Ghostbusters
climax.
in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
And I really, there's so much you could have done. Like, why did you do that? Like, that was my biggest problem with the film.
Guys, I have a question.
Yes.
I only got to see this once, and that was enough. So I feel like I missed something. Are there only ghosts because he's making them?
Devices. He's making
He
devices.
made the devices to
Yeah.
make them more visible. Like, apparently they're with us all the time, but the energy, what happens is he made those devices to kind of
So they're
suck in the power of New York
Okay.
City, and the electricity kept feeding into things, and it made them all just simply visible.
so his whole career, their whole career is based off of one person
Yeah.
creating
Pretty much.
So now that
because
he's
he made
dead-
everything visible. That's why.
So now that
Because-
he's dead, they don't have a career.
well, I guess he unleashed a whole bunch of shit.
Well, you guys are aware of the after the credit scene, right?
Oh, I stayed the whole time.
I didn't.
oh.
I know what the credit scene was where they announced Zool, which honestly it's Gozer. It's not Zool. It's Gozer.
I know.
Okay? If you're going to go ahead and pull a reference, say Gozer. Don't say Zool. Zool was the dog. Okay? That's
Fair enough. Fair enough.
again
But I mean,
just giant fuck you to fans. That's all the whole movie was.
Well, again, I mean, I just felt like it was strange how some things kind of paid off, but some things didn't. Like the whole thing with like the Swiss Army knife, like
That was just dumb.
it was weird. I mean, I don't mind something paying off, but like it didn't. I don't know. It was introduced oddly, and then when it did pay off, like I just thought that was strange.
Were they
So,
haunted balloons?
That was weird, and
Haunted
then I didn't
balloons?
understand the thing
When-
on the stilts.
I
that
mean,
was
we're,
really
we're-
weird.
yeah, we're getting a little ahead here, but in the climax of the movie, there's like a ghostly
Oh,
parade,
yes. Yeah.
and they fight haunted balloons.
well, that I want to touch that. But the first thing I want to mention is did you
Careful,
think
Brian. I already think you're sexist. You don't want to touch it.
Well, did you think that there were moments when they could have gone to a better story? Because I found one that I'm like,
What do you mean?
why didn't you go down this path?
What do you mean?
Okay, in the initial scene where I believe it's what's Kristen Wiig's character's name?
Kristen Wiig.
Aaron.
She
Aaron
goes
Gilbert.
down to Abby's school.
Yeah.
And, you have the whole fucking terrible wonton joke, which I thought was just abysmal. But that's besides the point. The point is that you've got in the background a TV show that Abby mentions.
Oh yeah,
about
that makes them
the
seem
ghost,
yeah.
Bros. Why not, and this is a crazy concept here, build a story around that, where maybe you've got them trying to debunk the fake people who are on the TV. Mm-hmm. Maybe make that the villain.
Or it's like some slimy guy who's like trying to, or some slimy girl,
or
fuck,
slimy
I
girl,
mean,
whatever. I'm just making a point that,
yeah.
and this kind of
I
goes
know.
back to that would be a better story. It'd be an original story. It'd be something that isn't trying to ham-handedly fist down the fact that you really hate the
Brian, you don't
fans of
want
the
to talk about
original.
fisting either.
Even if that worked into
you're
the
touching and
regular,
fisting
even if
things now.
that worked into the regular story, say like those fake, ghost, were they called Ghostbusters?
They
on
were
the fake
well, no,
thing,
they
or
were
what was
just
the
they were
paranormal show
basically making fun of Ghost Adventures.
Okay, right. No,
Okay.
I get that.
Or Ghost
But
Bros, as they're
whatever
called
whatever the fictional show was.
Yeah.
What if they were the ones that had figured out how to set those devices to make themselves
Yes.
more money? Like
But-
that would have made more sense.
And that would have made more sense. That would also have been a better story.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
that's-
the way that it was, the main part of the story just it didn't work. Like this villain didn't work. I didn't give a fuck. And like when he
didn't
died,
care.
I like celebrated because he was such a little piece of shit.
Yeah, but I didn't care.
I didn't
If I'm
either.
not caring, then it's kind of hard for me to care
There were just
who
so
lives
many-
and who dies. And
And there were so many details that didn't work out for me because too, I feel like they had a much longer movie that they cut down because some of the stuff just didn't work because apparently, obviously Kristen Wiig's character arc was supposed to be going from caring about being like respected and legitimized to going towards actually doing fulfilling work and not giving a fuck what anybody thinks, right? They did not make that
they made it
apparent
now
because,
kind of about her friendship with Abby. And
But that
then
was
they
weird
never
too.
really kind of
But that
do
was
anything in
weird
the middle.
too, because there was like a whole big deal of like her saving Abby at the end, and she's like, "I'm not going to leave you twice" or whatever. Like
They only mentioned
would've-
that in the beginning.
That would have been a super satisfying like ending to it if they had been like in conflict the whole
Yes.
time, but they weren't. They were like immediately good once she was like, "Fuck, we just
Yes.
saw a real ghost." Okay, like
Yeah.
it just like it's like the pieces were there, but like we missed a bunch of stuff in the middle that would have made the payoffs like more satisfying.
Well, they couldn't just eat Papa John's and riff improv jokes if they had like character arcs.
But I mean, that's what was missing from the film. I mean, we needed that arc from Kristen Wiig's character, and we needed that relationship with her and Melissa McCarthy's
Yeah.
character to like pay off better. Wait, guys, the show's over? Not quite. We talked so much about Ghostbusters this week that we had to split this epic episode into 2 parts. Stay tuned next week for the rest of our Ghostbusters review. You can go to Cinema Psycho's show for more details on this epic 2-parter, and don't forget you can find all of our episodes on iTunes.